I'm back. I'm back. It's been a while. It's been like 6 weeks. Just got out of the hospital from a severe Brazilian wax incident. I am officially no longer man. I'm not really a woman either. I'm something in between. I would recommend not getting Brazilian wax. I'm not sure what they're doing in Brazil, but I would definitely say if you live somewhere else, don't try it out. I'm just kidding. I didn't get a Brazilian wax. I've been busy, guys. It's been full swing at my job. I've been working tons, and in the meantime, with what spare time I have left, I've been doing two other things. Helping a guy named David Aslus, or Oslus, or Loose Ass, or something like that, from Antwerp, that's a published game designer. He has a game out called Panic Station, and he's got two more on the way, one that just got picked up and the third one that I'm helping him work with. So if you guys have been to Board Game Geek, check out Rogue Agent. It's kind of like a Ghost in the Shell, Blade Runner-y kind of a game. Pretty neat. Oh, I didn't type anything clever up here. So let's type the word clever. That way, clever, and then Cleveland, because it looks somewhat similar in appearance. The other thing I've been doing is I've been working on my own game, which I will talk about later, but it's been going very well. I've been working on it quite diligently. Board game, rather, not a card game. I would never be so stupid as to try to compete with Magic and fail terrifically, like so many companies and designers have. So that's kept me quite occupied. Beyond that, I have squeezed in some games of Magic. I played in the new set. I don't even want to try to pronounce Avacyn. I think Avacyn of Hohasan. Restored. I played in a pre-re. I won first place. I went undefeated with some little. Everyone was playing red, so I can't really brag about red. But I was playing some red-white beatdown deck. And then the next time I played a similar kind of a deck, and I did not win until the last round. There's some neat cards in there, as you can see. I got one of the little guys in here from the new set, but I think that's all that I really... Oh no, I got another one too. I forgot this guy. Or girl, rather. Or warrior, rather. But on the whole, yeah, I didn't add too many new things to the deck. Today we're talking about Edric, Spymaster of Trest. I was DJing last weekend, and I was bored while I was DJing because I'm not allowed to drink because I am taking a medication that is killing a nail fungus that I've had for a few years. This is a true story. I ripped my toenail out with a pair of pliers on a dare when I was 23 at a party. That's how stupid / cool I used to be. Oh my God, you've never felt anything like this in your life. I blacked out after I saw the first what appeared to be arterial spurt of blood javelining out of my toe into the rug. Yes, so don't do that. I mean, there's many weird things that I've done to get a laugh, but that was the one that was really too far. Um, Other than that time in Atlantic City. So, Edric, I played this the other night, and I built this a while ago, and this is one of those, it's not really that fun to play because it's so good deck. This deck is retarded, and I did a lot of research before I built it because I was planning on doing a video for it, and I do think that my version is a little different. I mean, I think there's some givens. There's also these animals called gibbons, and then there's a writer, or rather a comic book artist named David Gibbons, who worked on The Watchmen. There's some givens in the deck, but not gibbons, not hidden gibbons, the card. There are some givens in the deck that I think most of the Edric blends will be playing. But I do think that this one is quite tuned. I think it's got some different things to offer in terms of not being entirely obvious. It's a little, I think it's a, not to toot my own horn, I think it's a little better than most of the other ones that I've seen out there, but I would think that, wouldn't I? There's probably some cards I've missed. You know, it's unfortunate when you go online and you look at other people's deck lists. Most people are so freaking terrible at this format because they just want to play like, you know, Gidorklios guys like this, and they don't really think about the low end, or that's the front end rather. This is the low end. This is the high end. This is the middle end. These are two monkeys copulating on some sort of biobab tree. But before we get into this, I wanted to tell you guys, summer is in full swing here in New York City. I went to go take the train to my board game meetup at Whole Foods in Tribeca the other day. And on the way there, I was looking at my phone trying to determine where I was headed, train-wise, with potential train delays and whatnot. And I saw a gentleman, I just happened to glance over, and a few feet away from me there was a gentleman with his pants around his ankles, defecating on the platform. This is a very busy station, I might add, and he was on the top of the platform, like where you come in, the very first set of stairs on the north side of the station. We'll get specific, northwest side of the station. This is the ACE, or as people who are not from New York call it, the Blue Line, which I occasionally call it. 8th Avenue and 14th Street stop, and I came in at 16th Street to get into the station. And this guy was just crapping away on the train platform. He just had this sort of look of, like, I don't know, boredom on his face, like, well, you know, it's noon, what am I going to do? So he could have walked to the Starbucks across the street, but no, he had to do it right there. And I could not resist beholding the spectacle. This is probably too much information. TMI coming your way, so maybe turn the audio off for a second, but the angle at which my vantage point, if you will, at first I was like, oh my god, this guy is crapping out what looks like it looked like an ottoman or something, and then I realized it was just his genitalia hanging between his legs. Wow. So it looked like he was crapping his own weenus. And then I just went and I got on the train. And that's pretty much, that was my Saturday. I could not get that thought out of my head. It's been stuck in my head now. I don't know if this has anything to do with the Brazilian wax thing, because I may have switched my taste in lovers. Sorry, Jen. I might want to date a man that craps on a subway platform with big junk. So that is my story that I wanted to share with you. I was going to complain about the movie Dark Shadows and how Tim Burton has basically been making Beetlejuice over for the last 30 years, but I think that's really obvious. So for those of you who have a Nightmare Before Christmas lunchboxes out there, I hope you die of aluminum poisoning. So yeah, this deck is ridiculous. It is regosh dang redonkulous. So rather than go through and break down the deck by little chunks, I thought it would be a little bit easier to talk about. As you can see, there's quite a density of guys in here. I have 46 guys. I have 36 lands. So, the main concept here is getting guys down early and drawing as many cards as you can, at which point if they get to the part of the game where they can play a board sweeper or a damnation or an austere command or something like that, your hand should be restocked so that you can jump right back in and just keep going. This is a testimony to the notion that this format is best played behind, while mounted on a saddle on gigantic Dragaloid dudes like this. Well, that's funny because by the time they get this guy down, even if on turn 4 I've already attacked for 12 or more and have drawn an absurd amount of cards. To this end, I think the most important thing is really getting him down as soon as possible. Now, I've seen people play stuff like Lotus Petal and Mox Diamond and Chrome Mox. I'm not going down that path because those aren't guys. I want to play little mana critters, and I want to get him down as quickly as I can via mana critters. Wingcrafter is not a mana critter. That's the main hope there, and it is quite easy to get this fella down on turn 2, or even have a more ridiculous turn than that, depending upon what you draw. This deck is, if you are a sadist, it is a lot of fun. So let me just sort of go through some things here, and we'll be done. And go to the part where I make someone mad by playing. So the mana base is pretty straightforward. I think I am playing every single fetch land that I possibly can. I'm playing Command Tower, I'm playing Wasteland, and Strip Mine. The only the only lands that do not produce mana are Reliquary Tower, Strip Mine, and Wasteland, other than the fetch lands, for those of you who want to be difficult. We've got the duels, the Trop, the Breeding Pool, we've got the Filter, the Flooded Grove, we've got a foil Hinterland Harbor, we've got Yavimaya Coast, we've got, quite a bit of basics in here. Got Minamo, which could just be an island. I have it in there because of Raphelos, and it has happened a couple of times. I'm not a huge fan of playing things so on a tangent that I'm crossing my fingers, but hey, it works out sometimes. Got a lot of forests here. Gaia's Cradle is obviously absurd in this deck. It's very, very good. Dryad Arbor, which you might think is a bit strange, but it plays into the it's another let's get down Edric on turn 2 when you go on turn 1 and go get this guy for 0, and hopefully you've got a blue land in your hand and you can get him down, and you got another guy. So he effectively is another way to cheat out Edric a turn earlier. Additionally, it gets you quite a few creatures within the deck. I'm playing Pendlehaven, and you know what, I probably really shouldn't be playing Pendlehaven. I've got a number of creatures that are like 1 power, but the Baru issue with having another forest or argument rather, is a good argument. Mana that is not dude-wise, we have Mana Crypt and Soul Ring. Oh, now the other reason why I thought I should mention why I play things like Minamo and Pendlehaven is because I'm playing crop rotation, blah 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 blah, and I'm playing Primeval Titan. That's why I'm playing the Wasteland and the Strip Mine. I can get to stuff quite easily when I needs to. So we've got the Mana Crypt and we've got the Soul Ring, because those go basically in every single deck, and they turbo us out as well. We've got Skull Clamp as a ridiculous draw engine. To grab all 3 of those cards, we have Trinket Mage. Yeah, Skull Clamp is the nut high in this. Crop rotation, 9 times out of 10 you're going to get Gaia's Cradle. Sometimes you're going to get Reliquary Tower, which I'm not a fan of Reliquary Tower, but in a deck like this where you draw so many cards, it's great. Mystical Tutor, there's not a tremendous amount of targets in here. This was Sylvan Tutor and Worldly Tutor, because my thought was, well, I'll swing with creatures, I'll play a green, and I'll get a guy that I want. I can go get one of these big dudes, or the Merc Fiend Liege, or I'll steal something, or I'll double down with my whatchamahoozit. I'll get Raphelos and get a bunch of mana. Long story short, really what it's going to do is it's going to get me a regrowth for when I need to get back something. It's going to give me the crop rotation so I can get the Gaia's Cradle and go bananas. But 9 times out of 10, it's going to get me Notorious Thrall, which is going to let me loop-de-loop. Just take a look. I'm going to pay the prowl cost to get more dudes. Take an extra turn, because guess what? Our general is a rogue, and guess what? He's a rogue, and he's a rogue, and he's a rogue. and thought Adele is a rogue, and there's a bunch of rogues in here. I'm not quite sure how many off the top of my head because I got woken up by this Dave Asloose guy who wanted to argue with me about whether or not the name Crimson Red was good for a character. He sent me a link to some like alternative rock band that was terrible. That was saying it plays weddings, and then he sent me a link to crimsonredfootball.com or something like that. He failed to send me the link that was above these, that was for a satin wedding pillow. Whatever. So I'm out of it. I should be asleep. This is my day off. GD it, and here I am. Obligatorily making a video for you ungrateful heathens who are probably like sitting in your great aunt's attic right now eating like stale caramel popcorn and shaking the dregs of a box of Nerds into your hand to up your caloric intake. So yeah, Worldly Tutor, getting notorious wrong. So Concordant Crossroads. Now this is one you got a raw dog. We've got no tutorage for this, but here's the situation: when you have a badillion cheap guys and you get your mana up to the point where you can play a bunch of guys in one turn, Concordant Crossroads is quite juice-tastic. We have a number of other guys like Primeval Titan that do things when they attack. Thought Adele. There's a bunch. We've got quite a few Ophidian-like creatures, not and even including our general. There's someone digging through the garbage outside my window here at the Muffin House. That's nice. Got exploration. This lets us. This is another way we can get a bunch of lands down and get our general down on turn 2 if we get this in our hand on the first turn. And also, it once we start getting this card draw engine going, it's a nice little effect to let us continue to plop stuff down on the board, lands, and accelerate ourselves further and continue to play more and more guys. So yes, we do not have tutors for these two, but that's fine. We got some mana critters. We got Arbor Elf that's going to let us untap our forest. This is an argument for why maybe Pendlehaven should go, or Pendlehaven could stay. He can make the guy bigger. Wow, his ears are gigantically pointy. Or he can provide mana, but quite frankly, when you're playing 8, I believe it's 8 fetch lands. I mean, is it 8 or is it 9? I think it's 9. Let's just count. It's early, man. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, it's only 7. We don't have black, white. We don't have black, red. We don't have red, white. Yeah, 7. Okay. So yeah, a bunch of mana dudes. We got Bop, who unfortunately isn't going to do any damage unless you get like this dude out or this dude or blah 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 Barrow out. But he's kind of a necessary evil. Boreal Druid, not my favorite, but guess what? He works. Feinhorn, Lanhoar. I've always wondered at Lanowar. Maybe it's Yanowar because in Spanish when you have Jaraga Tree Speaker, which is like the Elven Soul Ring. So those are our little mana dudes. I'm sure there's some other mana guy that I've forgotten, but for the interim, I'm quite pleased with these, with the regularity that Exploration, Green Suns, these guys come up. Or Artifact mana, you can pretty reliably get down your Edric. Wingcrafter is a nice little addition. He had some evasion. The whole continual effect deal is cool. That if the other guy dies, he helps out, but that lets us continue to fly over to draw cards. Lightning Greaves, really we don't probably need it, but once again we're playing tons of guys, so this just lets us expedite the process and get more guys out and down and hitting and drawing cards. So to that end, a guy could essentially replace himself, especially in a game where you've got 3 opponents and not everyone is more than likely going to be playing in a quick deck. So Regrowth, like I said, we got Regrowth and we've got the Eternal Witness. We've got Survival and Fauna Shaman for some tutorage. Where are you, Fauna Shaman? There's a couple little other dealies in here too. Like we've got Vengevine for those 2 cards. He hits the ground and comes back from the grave. Hits the ground running, comes back from the grave when you need him to. So there's a lot of points where even you'll fill your hand up because you drew too many cards and you discard down and you discard Vengevine, and the next turn when you play 2 guys, you're going to get him back and he's going to be big and smash-aloids. So I like him for that reason. My cat is digging in the litter box. Apparently he has found dilithium crystals. Get out of there. There's no reason to dig in there for 20 minutes. There you go, you freak. Hobbit, you are my best friend, but you dig in your own feces too much. Sylvan, Swamp Thing's forehead. Lets me draw some cards. Right? So, not a guy, but hey, we've got 46. Cloud of Fairies is Retardaloids. Oh, and I forgot, Minamo is, and taps Gaia's Cradle, duh, and Raphaelos. Those were the 2 main reasons. Excuse me. Cloud of Fairies is going to let us untap Gaia's Cradle, maybe Gaia's Cradle and Minamo, and we can get like an absurd amount of use out of Gaia's Cradle. Effectively, at the very worst, these little naked, margarine-colored women with, what is that thing in her hand? Is that like a toenail or something? Or whatever. These guys are freaks. Then they're jobless as well, so I have no respect for them. You're going to play them on turn 2 before you play your Edric, ideally, and then you're going to have an extra guy, an evasion creature that lets you swing in and draw another card. So the fact that they replace themselves is nice. So here we go. They don't replace themselves, they're free. Coiling Oracle. Yeah, you know, you're going to play this guy. He's a Snake Elf Druid. Why wouldn't you play him? He might ramp your mana up, or he's going to cantrip at the worst. He's a weenie. He's not the greatest. Definitely not the worst. This card. One of the many unfun cards in this deck. Well, it's quite easy to flip this over. And I must say, I played against a guy who was playing Edric, and he had this out, and it was just phenomenally powerful. He got it down so quickly, and got it off so quickly. I think it was like turn 2 that he got it off. So yeah, that made the game staggeringly impossible for everyone else. So to the thought that people are playing a bunch of slow-ass decks with giant dudes and expensive spells, ha ha ha, this card is going to rock you like a hurricane. We talked about Fauna Shaman, lets us tutor, we got Gilded Drake, steal your Gigantaloid guy and smash in. He's a rogue, he's unblockable. He's a rogue, he's unblockable, and lets you pitch a land or a crappy guy for a better card, hopefully. More Rampage. This thing has been... yeah, I can't even tell you. I had a game once where, like, on turn 3, I had Primeval Titan down with, like, 4 other guys, and I was attacking and killed, I think, everyone by, like, turn 6. That was, like, the best hand I ever had. Phantasmal Image, little cheapy clone that dies if you equip him. Plax Manta, I love this guy. Now, granted, there's not a lot of spot removal in the format, but there's enough that this guy could, when you have things like Survival and Fauna Shaman, could come in handy. You know, he comes down EOT at the worst of it. They wrath away your board. You plop him down Flash style, replay Edric the next turn, and draw a card. I do think it is worth mentioning, too, that Greaves is obviously, you don't want to have to keep replaying Edric. He's the card draw engine in the deck, so Greaves can also protect him. Raphaelos, God, I hate this artwork. I hate how this looks like it was printed on a bad shipping label, and he's just so jolly. Isn't jolly the word we're looking for here? So, you know, to that end, Pendlehaven probably, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to change the Pendlehaven right now. I'm dissatisfied with that. It should be a forest. There's another reason. I was wrong. I tried to get clever, and it really backfired. I know some people play Eladamri. I didn't really want to play Eladamri. You know, it'd be very easy to make this into just an elf deck. So we lost Clever Cleveland. So let's type now in Bengali Boomerang. You like that cultural overlay, and I like the way that sounds. Bengali Boomerang. Yeah, you could play Eladamri if you want. I didn't want to play him. I did play with him, and I took him out because I thought he was pretty crappy, and there was a couple instances where I wanted to, you know, equip my guy with my limited equipment and could not do so. Tarmogoyf will probably get gigantic and scary very quickly. He's, he's a dork, but he's a good dork. So, Heretic. In a deck like this guy actually will do damage and will draw you multiple cards. There are a number of Ophidian-style kind of guys in the deck with that intention. He's once again, he's not the greatest, he's not the worst, but he is a rogue, so that does help us in our quest to draw cards. Okay, a Sword of Feast and Famine. This is going to let us get even more guys down. We plop this guy down. Now, the first turn it probably won't unless we have 6 mana and a 1 cast in our hand. But on the whole, it should allow us to plop this down and play even more guys, amassing an army that not even Bruce Willis could take down. Beast Within, I forgot this for Mystical Tutor, so this is the nice Uber kill card in the deck, just in case. It's the utility card, not the, it's good. Unfortunately, it makes a blocker that most of our creatures can't contend with. But that's why we have things like Aether Adept to bounce it out of the way, or we can Wing Crafter over it, or we just don't attack the person that we give the Beast token. Aether Adepts, bounces stuff. The double blue is definitely not cool. Another problem is, or another solution to the problem of giving them Beast Within tokens or Gilded Drake tokens to block with would be Champion of Lamholt. So, yeah, she's pretty crazy. Especially when you have this out, or you get Beru and make her even less fair. She lets your guys keep swinging, and you're going to play lots of guys, so, she was a nice, welcome addition to the deck. I paid a whopping 2 tickets for her while the pre-releases were going on, which I know is stupid, but I'm that guy that does that. So, Selkie, this thing looks like some sort of inbred redneck offspring. Got some evasion, a 1/1 for 3, not the greatest, but let's be honest, someone's usually playing islands. She gets bigger with this guy, this gross guy with the weird tentacly beard. E-Witness we talked about already. Lore Scale, we're drawing lots of cards. This thing gets pretty bananazoids. Very nice with Sylvan Library Replacement Effect dealing Magog. He can get quite large quite quickly and kill people. Aether Adept and Manowar and Vincer are our bouncing trio. We've got yet another Snaky Poo here. We just talked about Lore Scale, and now we've got Oran Viper, which lets us draw some cards. Tandem Lookout, here's another Ophidian guy. I just threw him in. I haven't actually played with this one yet. I thought he was better than I had some dork guy in here that I took out. I don't even remember. Thought he was neat, so we could give him a try. Thought of Adele, a rogue. She steals artifacts. That's pretty sexy. Trinket Mage, whatever. He gets us those cards. Skull Clamp is quite good in this. Trigon Predator, the obvious. This little geometric weirdo flying. I don't even know how the thing is flying. It just looks like he's dive bombing headfirst into the ground. But having some enchantment control is nice. I don't think I have a way to kill enchantments other than him and Beast Within. You could play, like a Viridian Zealot or something like that if you want. I'm sure there's other things that you could play to help that, but let's be honest, enchantments aren't usually a huge quandary in this format. Almost everyone freaks out on artifacts. That's why we're playing Uktabi and Viridian Shaman to blow their stuff up. The Dryad lets us get, a Dryad can go fetch our Dryad, incidentally, and also it lets us have some evasion, ramp up a little bit. It's very nice. This guy right here is effectively a 3-cast, another clone, copy of a nice piece of equipment. We talked about Notorious Throng, which is one of the best cards in the deck. Now, Allurin, as you can see, Of the 46 creatures, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 36 of them cost 3 or less. So that's really nice too with Edric when he gets killed and you only have to pay 2, the recast cost, 2, 4, 6, whatever. Um, I've had some very nuts things happen with Illurin, and like I said, since a lot of people are not of the mind to play cheap, inexpensive creatures unless they're playing something like a Wart deck or an Elf deck or something like Theme deck with the little, tribal-y guys, this is pretty much just going to be a card that helps you. It it's quite effective when you have a ton of guys in your hand and you just want to flop them down to get that grotesque card advantage. If you have something like Concordant Crossroads and this, and you have a grip, it can be quite gross. Oracle lets us just play more lands, kind of ramp out. She's a little underwhelming strength-wise, but she does her job in terms of getting us through the deck quick. Like I said, we have these fetch lands, so there's quite a bit of shuffling. This guy, I'm not just trying to play every card that has like the blue-green element to it. I didn't even think about this gross thing that's just crapping eggs out of its stomach. But Chris brought it up because it's 3 evasive creatures, which could be, in one card, which could be 3 cards that I draw. Sakashima, wow. So there's many times where we clone this, and we even clone our own general, so we draw 2 cards a pop. Lots of good stuff, and we're not even talking about the good stuff that your opponents could be playing. So Sakashima makes the cut. Sower of Temptation. Get those blockers out of the way. That annoying, pesky 1 blocker because your deck is slow, and I will continue to bash your face. Spot removal doesn't really isn't so much of an issue, so she's more than likely going to get swept away with everything else. Vengevine we talked about. Vincer. Bouncy, bounce, bounce, bounce. Only counter-spelly kind of a thing. Treachery is another get your guy out of the way card. Lets us untap. It's quite gross when you have Gaia's Cradle out. This guy, majority of the creatures are green, or blue-green. There's, I don't know. We'll count. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, not even really, or not even really. So let's just say 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I guess 10, 11, 12, 13. So still, there's, the majority of the deck is green. So Beru is quite good. I thought about taking him out just because he's so high end, but he's so effective in terms of what he can do, especially if you're like swinging with this guy and you play a forest, or you have Oracle Moldiah or Exploration, you go forest, swing with this guy, get 2 more forests, and suddenly all your guys are gigantic and killing everyone. I just told you the reason why we're playing Primeval Titan. He does trample. He gets us Gaia's Cradle. I think he's probably better than playing something like Sylvan Scrying. And there does get to be a point in the game where you can play things like Greensun Zenith and get any of these 3 tasty little gems down and start beating the hell out of people. Obviously, these 2 help us out more. The untap thing really doesn't add anything to the deck. We're not playing counter spells. I mean, we have a couple of flash creatures. We have Vincer, we have Flax Manta, but, we have our Illurin, but that doesn't really change anything. So it just gives us some defense if they do happen to be playing a deck that can fight back. But on the whole, yeah, the untappy thing, I've seen people play stuff like Seedborn Muse, etc. I don't really know what that adds. So, that said, well, let's play a game. I love you.